What's going on, everybody? We're back for another edition of Dynasty Talk Podcast. I am here with Let the Wookiee Win, Chris.
Uh,
I am also with Trumpelo Bills, Nate.
What's up, Braz?
And, of course, two-time champion Fly Society.
Save the best for last.
I mean, that was adding in that two-time champion right now, dismissing that Chris, of course, also has two champions, but that was intentional. So,
my team doesn't deserve any praise currently.
Yeah.
So
we're not going to talk about that team for a little while here. So, moving right along, we are in week 4. We had 3 strong weeks of Dynasty matchups so far, and we're going to jump right into it because we're going to try to get into a lot of information in one podcast today. I'm going to go right straight into first down, which is the talk of the matchups. First game of the week this week is myself, Potent, versus Fly Society, Malcolm. And Malcolm is 3-0, and I am 1-2. Malcolm, a heavy favorite according to Sleeper.
I don't trust the sleeper, but nice little rematch of a championship victory for yours truly. So pretty excited.
Yeah, I had to get a medical marijuana card for that PTSD from that game. So I definitely don't appreciate you bringing it back up on this podcast. It brings back bad memories, but I'm a little concerned this week. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Malcolm's one of the best teams that we have in our league this year, and despite my trip to the 2 championships last year, I'm feeling a little weak. Feeling like I don't really have that firepower that I had last year. Let's jump. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll say some might even say Malcolm's team is the best in our league, but we will find out later, won't we?
Some might say that, and I'm willing to bet that some on this podcast might have said that going into our power rankings, which is of course the second down. But quick recap of Malcolm's.
Teasers.
Yeah. So just jumping into, we'll start with Potent. Week 1, I got demolished by your dad, Chris. I think he scored 158 points on me. I got to go back and look. I don't have that information in front of me right this second. But then I did lose to Eric in a decently close matchup week 2. He of course scored a bunch of points on me as well. And then last week I played Nate, who did still put up a fight against me and still did make me worry at times, which was very concerning in itself. But I did pull out that victory and improve to 1-2.
I mean, you beat me by 30, and you lost to the other two you lost to Rick by 50, and then you lost to Eric by 9. So.
Yeah, I made Eric a match, but his dad just destroyed me week 1. I think I scored like 105 or something. It wasn't a high scoring week. I don't have the game in front of me. I'm guessing you do.
You had 102. He had 153.38. Which would have probably been the biggest win if Malcolm didn't beat me by like 80, but in week 1.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Let's just jump right into Malcolm. We'll talk about what he did in week 1 to start with.
Massacre of yours truly. It's the first time first time you and I have had a game that really hasn't meant anything at all.
Yeah, it was pretty disappointing to win and it be like it was like I beat my 6-year-old in Madden or something. Yeah. I just can't think.
It's just
satisfaction. It was disappointing.
It has to feel so empty and meaningless.
Yeah, so I killed you and I somehow still lost because I couldn't enjoy it. So we're gonna need you to get that competitive and make this more meaningful sooner than later.
Well, I got a few players on my team that might help that happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, 178 week 1, 146 week 2, just barely beating out Bill, surprisingly, despite a 146-point week. And then in week 3, only scoring 137.9, but beating the previous champion and Tom. So that must felt pretty good in itself. You got a pretty decently easy week this week against a team that's not really been performing very well. I think my highest score so far is 137. And I'm averaging about 120, which is not good. So, seems like you got a nice little week this week, kind of a bye week almost.
No, let's
I like how he's downplaying it, trying to do the reverse psychology.
Yeah, let's calm down over there, Lucas. I didn't know you were the Hurricanes and I'm Middle Tennessee or whatever's going on over there, but we'll take you serious. You definitely can beat me. Anybody can lose.
Yeah, we've seen crazier upsets. That takes us right to our second game, Let the Wookiee Win, versus Reefer Madness. And I don't have a lot to say about this, but I do want to point out that Chris is starting Eno Benjamin and James Cook at his running back positions this week for a total projected points of about 7.
I don't think I've had a total of over 10 points between my two running backs all year.
Yeah, that's we can fact check that, but I don't even care to do so.
No, there's no need to. I'll bet on it.
I think this is a pretty easy win for Reefer Madness, and to improve to 2-2, and actually really has a strong fight to make the playoffs this year, in a very tough conference, by the way. I think there's 4 teams that will all be vying for spots in that conference this year, whereas there's about 3.5 vying for that in the South Division. So, moving on to week 3, third game. Unless you guys have anything to say about that game.
No, he's just lucky. He's just lucky the Sun God's hurt and probably not going to play. Otherwise, he might lose because Amon Ra could score 100 points by himself.
I mean, we are not.
Other than that, nothing else needs to be said.
Well, that'll take us to our third game. This actually looks like a pretty awesome game. 3-0, my ball, Zach Ertz. That was your dad. And I'm going to do a brief run through his matchup these past few weeks. He's been a pretty nice little, 3-week span here. He is really impressing, and he's our season 1 champion for anybody that wasn't here. He won year 1 with a pretty much stock team that was not without any rookie draft whatsoever. He was the guy that won year 1, in case you were wondering. 153 points week 1. Went right into week 2 with 170 points almost, 169.3. And then went right into week 3 with a little bit of a down week with 112, but still got the win.
Yeah, it's been impressive. He's finally, all those younger guys we've been saying are going to do something for him finally are. And Christian Kirk has been a pleasant surprise, I would assume.
Yeah, that guy's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love the Jags. Gotta love them.
Best team in the state. Yeah, I know about the Dolphins.
Yeah, you can't even say best team in the state anymore with the Dolphins being so elite.
No, I still am. Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback, playing the best quarterback in the state of Florida right now.
I mean, you're not going to get any argument from me about this, but
it's going on right now.
It's true.
I don't know, but I like it.
Hey, I watched the Bucs.
I like
on
Trevor
Sunday.
over Tua too.
Yeah.
This Jags propaganda is out of control.
I know it is. It is, but
Doug Peterson, he just changes culture like instantly. He's
yeah.
Instant culture change. Instant.
Don't you have season tickets to the actual best team in the state?
I mean, are they going to be the best team this season? Certainly. But, like, right now, today? No, I don't think they are.
Oh,
you heard it on the air.
The
Bucs
best
fans are leading in droves.
Best defense may be in the league, but right now they look ugly on offense. But it is mostly, I don't know, the practice squad playing receiver. So
when Tom Brady's throwing to me, then yes, it's not going to be great. Okay.
Well, like my dad and I were talking to the game. It's like, oh, we got Brashard Perriman out there. I'm like, yeah, but like, if it was like 6 years ago and like 3 knee injuries ago, yeah, we might have something. But like, yeah, they're rough to watch. But anyways.
Eric seems surprising this season.
Yeah.
We'll say.
I like Erickson.
He's scoring. It's nice. It's good for him.
He's got a lot of my players on his team, so I'm hopeful for him. I mean, Tyreek Hill still obviously has the huge games in the bag. It's not. We were afraid he might not, but I think he still does. So. Did we lose Lucas?
All right. Well, moving on.
Yeah, say we were at my Balzac Ertz and Valyrian Steelers, which hats off to them. They've kept their names through this whole time. I don't think either one of them have ever. Oh no, my dad won as a different team name. Anyways, next
Yeah, it was
he was Who? What was it? I don't even remember now.
I for something.
Eifert?
Yeah, Ertz won Eifert. Yeah, that's it. But anyways, now we've got Fife and Ricky, 2 teams, 1 cup, and like 6 other. He changes his name like 3 times a year. Always something fun and entertaining though. And then you got Fife with Joe Buck. Joe Buck yourself.
Joe
Yeah.
Buck yourself. Yeah.
Although Fife is probably. Although as much as I've always loved Juju and your Who, Fife's had some really good ones this year. I miss Jamar Burrow, man. I thought that was a really good one, but
Yeah, he should have probably kept that one, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's straight flawless.
Can you hear me now?
yeah, we got you.
Sweet. My bad, guys. That was weird. I was definitely talking. Thought you guys could hear me, and I was like, I'm being ignored. It's kind of weird. The week 3. The lowest scoring total from any player this year. What team do you guys think it is? It will surprise you.
Single player?
No, I'm sorry. The lowest scoring team so far this season.
It's not Chris.
Like for one single week, I'm asking, just FYI.
Yeah.
Is it Ricky?
It is not Ricky and it is not Chris.
Oh. I just thought because we were on that game, it was a trick question. I would have.
Yeah, that was my.
I would have
question for
assumed me.
Eric had 82.9 week 1, and he has not. He did not replicate that at all, but he did score 146 in week 2, and then did come back to score 125 in week 3. I don't think prove he's turned it around yet, but I think he's doing better. He is 2-1, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's definitely doing better. Sterling Shepard going out is not. I mean, that might hurt, but he's got good backups in Zay Jones and Laviska Shenault, so I think he'll be fine.
Zay Jones is an impressive backup. I think that's going to be a serviceable backup for a while.
And Laviska seems to be getting a lot of work in Carolina, more than people like DJ Moore.
Yeah, he's the only one.
Yeah.
What game were you guys just on? I'm sorry.
No, we had just moved on to the next one.
Which
introduce Joe Buck yourself.
Yeah, Fife and Ricky is what we just started. Is it Fife or Fief? I don't.
I've always called him Fife. I think that's because Malcolm used to call him Fife, but who knows?
We're gonna have to get him to correct us on that.
Yeah, correct us, Robert. Just let us. We've always called you kind of what we wanted to call you, but I think it's time to ask, what do you want to be called?
What do you identify as?
Somebody works in HR.
So, I barely work in HR these days, but yeah, definitely fun point. 149.5 week 1 for Fife. Also 160.9 week 2. And then week 3 coming out with 152.5. This guy is on fire.
Yeah. He's got a lot of firepower.
Some people would say he's the number 1 team.
Some might say on this call that he could be the number 1 team.
More later.
Saquon Barkley might be one of the most impressive looking return to running back form that we've seen in a while after coming back from a serious injury. And I was worried last year after seeing him come back, but I am no longer worried.
Yeah, I took him in a different league with the hope that, if I'm right, this is going to be awesome. And so far, it's better than I thought it could have been. So, yeah.
And I was feeling pretty good about my trade with Fief a couple years ago, where it was Joe Burrow for a future first-round pick. And, I mean, obviously that paid out great for me because I believe I used that pick to draft. That was actually Drake London's pick, I believe. It was either Drake London or Garrett Wilson. Either way, it turned out great for me. But man, he has to feel good about that with Joe Burrow now. Like looking back, you just know you have the ability to go off your quarterback any week.
I mean,
go with Chase too. Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah,
the stack included for sure.
And then he has Old Faithfuls and Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb.
And I would not have said Derrick Henry's been Old Faithful yet this season, but man, he looked like Derrick Henry again in one game, which again is vintage Derrick Henry to have off games and then have some bust out games out of nowhere.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Well, he still can. I mean, he's not having great games, but he's low double-digit points.
Yeah. Well, that was a lot of talk about Fief. You can tell we're excited about his team. He's playing Ricky this week, and that's actually going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Ricky's been good too. He made that ridiculous trade, and I think we can all kind of call it ridiculous. But at the same time, it looks pretty good right now. Looking back, Dameon Pierce looks like he could be elite, and I'm not just playing. I really do think he looks like he's going to be really good on a team that's complete garbage. So it's going to be kind of exciting knowing you have a running back on a team that's just going to keep running the ball in the first couple of quarters until they get down and then have to throw deep late. But you just know you're going to get a lot of work early on and you're going to feel good about the trade for a little while. But yeah, it does hurt in the meantime. Hopefully he can get some waiver wire pickups to ease that burden. But he's been a good team so far.
Yeah, no, I mean, I said my piece on Dameon Pierce. I don't think Fife was too thrilled with it after he drafted him, but I drafted Pierce in 2 other leagues after that, but I completely changed my mind. So, like, yeah, yeah. Once that team gets better in general, like, it's not like he's going anywhere for a couple of years like that. It might not be as great this year as he was hoping for, but like, it's still good. He's still going to be a good player. So.
Yeah. He started out a little rough. Only 118 week 1. 118 is not a terrible week, but I mean you can tell he was probably thinking better than that. 111 week 2, so you can tell he was getting real worried then. And then week 3, he of course comes back with where did I just lost him 108, but it's still a win. And somehow this guy is 2-1. I have no idea. He did play you last week. That has got to be part of it. Beat Julius week 2. So Ricky just hasn't played anybody yet, other than Tom, who he lost to week 1. So interesting. Ricky's really not scoring that well. He's kind of in a similar situation to myself, where you're kind of a little bit worried on his team, but I think you can feel good about it.
Let me just say that Ricky did not play Dameon Pierce last week when he had his highest point total.
Oh yeah, we have to point that out. You just for him, you're starting him every week.
And then I also believe the one week that he had Hunt and Patterson on the bench and they both scored like 20-some points. Might have been week 1, but yeah, he's done that a lot, I feel like, where you just make some lineup decisions where you're just like, man, if only you would have done this, if you would have zigged instead of zagged. But, yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes.
If I spend that much on a player, I'm definitely playing him every week.
Every week.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw one game from Garrett Wilson and decided he was starting in my lineup every single week. So, I mean, I did the same thing for Drake London after week 1. I mean, I get the rookies, but there's no reason to wait. When you know they're studs, you just start them every week and you move on until you're told otherwise.
I know exactly what you mean. I've seen James Cook touch the ball like 6 times, and one of them was a fumble, and he's good to go on my team now.
Yeah, that's fair too. I did like the work I've been seeing from James Cook.
This is
but that's
how bad
story.
my team is.
So it's not like you can play anybody else.
I guess.
Who do you guys have
talking
winning this week?
about? We're talking about James Cook right now. That's what we're doing.
No,
We're not.
No, we're not.
54%, according to Sleeper, is Joe Buck yourself over 2 teams, 1 cup, their new name. I actually think Ricky's going to win this week. I think Ricky goes off this week.
Calling for the upset? Yeah, I mean,
Cooper Kupp on Monday Night Football. Keenan Allen's coming back this week. I mean, I think Greg Kittle in his second game back. Cordarrelle Patterson against Cleveland. I don't like that matchup a whole lot, but I think that's a solid flex. Adam Thielen against New Orleans.
With Kirk Cousins, because I'm assuming Marshawn Lattimore is going to be all over Justin Jefferson, and they're not going to be able to run the ball too well against New Orleans. So Cousins and Thielen does seem like a nice thing.
It's in, London.
Yeah, it's in London. And if Kittle's actually healthy, yeah.
Yeah, but Burrow's going against Miami, and that means Jamar Chase is going against Xavier Howard.
It's not going to be good news.
Yeah. But I'm on Diggs and Cooper, so
yeah.
He doesn't have to go against anybody good at Miami.
Yeah, T. Higgins needs to make sure his head doesn't get scrambled, man. I don't know how
Yeah,
he's
I'm
still
worried
allowed
about
to
T.
play
Higgins.
football. Like,
He should have never came back in that game. That was
yeah.
outrageous. Moving right along, we got Juju and your Hoo Hoo. They're 1-2 versus Julius 0-3. I don't know if we really need to go over all the games, but I think it would be respectful to go over Max's games real quick. Juju and your Hoo Hoo scored 108 week one, getting demoralized by Fife. Week two, scoring 119 but beating Nate. Week three, losing to Eric by about 26 points, only scoring 100 points week three. And I think Max has hit the panic button.
I mean, I think part of that right now is I think that Carr and Adams are performing less than like what I mean, at least what I would expect. Specific, but
Yeah, after week one, I thought that was going to be a go-to target all year
yeah.
long.
And then Daryl Henderson seems to be losing a lot of carries, so like.
I mean, he's got Pollard.
But Pollard's getting
Pollard's
carries, so but he's got Zeke too. So I mean, he's still got the Singletary's been getting a lot of work like that. Yeah, man, I just think his team's getting a lot of bad luck right now. Personally,
I mean, he I don't know if he kind of made this luck. He had Josh Allen. He went all in on Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. And anyone that's known Max a long time knows that Max thinks he knows some inside information at all times about something. He's the only person that has the inside scoop on something. And clearly he thought it was the Raiders. The Raiders didn't work out. So this is just one of those situations where he was wrong. Simple as that.
They haven't worked out in the 3 weeks they've played together. We'll figure out if the next 11 they can't work together. You know?
Yeah, it's early. Agreed. That's where you're getting at.
Yeah, it's very early.
Solid. James Robinson, Brees Hall is looking good. Romeo Dubs. Allen Robinson's been trash, but Devin Duvernay has shown promise. Alvin Kamara's done nothing, but J.K. Dobbins just came back. He's got Trevor Lawrence on his bench and Tom Brady in his starting lineup. His bench isn't great, but he also gets Mike Evans back this week, and he's got Nelson Aguilar and David Njoku on his bench as well. So I actually think, despite Julius probably wanting to tank, he might actually pull out a couple wins if he's setting up his lineup this way.
Yeah. I mean, he has starting running backs, so it's going to be very difficult for him to get that first pick if that's what he's hoping for.
Brees Hall's a couple games away from going off for like 25, I feel like.
I don't know. Michael Carter still doesn't look bad, man, and they like using him.
He looked bad last week.
Yeah, I have Michael Carter in a couple other leagues. He's falling off.
Michael, I didn't last time start
He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a huge fantasy week this week," and he
game.
just tanked.
It's 1 out of 3 games, though.
Yeah, well, he didn't even get the targets, which was Michael Carter's value, is getting the targets. So,
I mean, has Justin Jefferson not underperformed in multiple games this year? He hasn't given up.
He has.
On him.
I think the Vikings overall have too.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're not giving up on him now. But anyways,
that's fair. Nate against Tom, old best buds from Texas, going against each other.
Hold on. About Julius's team, I just think it's hilarious that Allen Robinson is the third wide receiver on that team, pretty much.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's put Romeo Dubs as his number one. Like he's not even fucking around. Like
Duvernay's obviously outperforming Robinson. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Duvernay for. I mean, Robinson's his number 4. He's got Mike Evans on his bench, who's obviously.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he drafted decently well. I mean, the only thing that really hasn't worked out yet is Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah.
I mean, he utilized his first round pick, his first overall pick. I mean, he got these players. I think Austin Hooper was his 5th round pick, or maybe Chuba Hubbard was actually. Chuba Hubbard hasn't done anything, obviously. But outside of that, Romeo Dubs was his 3rd round pick. Romeo Dubs has been fantastic. And then his first pick, of course, is Brees Hall. So, I mean, he had an effective draft, and I think his team has dramatically changed from both those picks.
And I don't think Spiller was like supposed to come in and take over, you know, a bunch of carries from Eckler. I think he's just there to, you know, take over if Eckler gets hurt.
I just think we were all a little shocked that just no one really expected Joshua Kelly to get so much work.
No,
Everyone just kind of thought he was going to disappear and Isaiah Spiller was going to take over that spot, and it just never happened.
That's fair. Well, that takes us to our former champion. That's who he's playing this week. Justin Herbert at quarterback. He's been a little shaky this year so far. Austin Eckler hasn't been performing what he's done in recent years. A.J. Brown's done well. Michael Pittman, of course, got hurt, but he hasn't really performed yet. And then Joe Mixon's starting to scare people. So Tom is 1-2 right now. He has not played up to what you would assume a repeating champion would look like in the first 3 weeks. But he did score 168 in week 1. Week 2, he went off for 105, so he did not go off. I was looking at the wrong team there. And then got beat by Malcolm in week 3 by only scoring 118. So his average is actually just over 120. That's not looking good for Tom so far after being the champion last year. But I still like his team a lot. I think Michael Pittman coming back is going to be crucial to his success. And yeah, I think he's going to win this week.
Yeah, they're just the ceiling. Oh, and now he's got Khalil Herbert to step in if he needs him to. Yeah, he's fairly. Yeah, that team's.
His team's good, man. Like,
you
don't need to go that deep in it. His roster is really good. But it's just underperforming.
It can't. Yeah, that team. The ceiling for it is too high for anyone to believe they can beat it any week. So.
That's fair.
And he's got the depth to where he can handle an injury, maybe even 2, probably. There's certain people right now that he's relying on, like. A.J. Brown goes down, it might not be good for him. And we'll see how awesome Marquise Brown is one.
Goes down too.
Yeah. Well,
I think if A.J. Brown goes down, I think he's in a lot of trouble. I think you were right on the head, the first person you said. Yeah.
Well, that and then how much does Marquise Brown lose when DeAndre Hopkins gets back?
And Rondell Moore.
True. I don't think that's much as big of a thing as Hopkins, though.
So Rondell Moore was supposed to play that role that Dortch has been playing in so far, so that does play a factor, especially if Dortch is still there.
If Dortch is still there, that plays a factor for Rondell Moore, probably not Marquise Brown.
I think it plays a factor. Oh, I think it all plays a factor into Marquise Brown a little bit, but
if they're not playing the same position, it's not going to matter.
Any team that stands out to you guys, like maybe overperformed so far, or just a team in general that's drastically changed from the last few seasons?
Well, we got a lot of teams that have physically changed, but Joe Buck yourself.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know if we've got the facts on hand, obviously switching to Sleeper, but I do not believe that Fife, whatever we say is his last name, I do not believe he's made the playoffs since year 1.
Correct. I mean, the only other team that you kind of have to look at, just because of the amount of points they're scoring, is my dad's team won 2 games last year, was picked 3rd this year, and now we're looking at it like, holy shit, they're outscoring everybody every week by like a considerable margin. Like, that's a massive turnaround.
Yeah, that's who I was gonna say was your dad. Like, I don't know what you guys originally had him ranked in that last pod, but it wasn't top 6 or anything like that. And he's legitimately like
that team can win too.
One of the best teams. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's 3 teams that are noticeably better than everybody else right now. That's one of them.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's the tier right now, and I'm not even sure it's the 3 because I might group Tom into that. I think I still group Tom into that at the moment, but yeah. Fun fact, real quick. While we're talking on Fife, real quick, can you guys remember what Fife's team name was when he made the playoffs in year 1?
All right, is this like trivia?
Yeah, it's trivia. I'll start the clock.
Man. It was a James Winston.
Yeah, it was. All I do is Winston.
Nope.
Damn it. You can't do that for copyright purposes.
I got a something in my Rari, something like that.
Yes.
I got a Gronk in my Rari, right?
Gronk in my Rari.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Malcolm wins.
Nicely done, Malcolm. Nicely done.
Yeah, Malcolm wins just like he wins in our league consistently. He's just one of the greats.
Not last year.
Him and Ricky are just these amazing traders, and we totally respect them on a different level. Moving on, we are on the power rankings, guys. I know we all were kind of hinting at this earlier. Power rankings are a little different this year. Got some new names at the top.
Yeah, and some new names at the bottom.
This is true. This is true.
Like, when was the last time I was not in the top 3? It's been a while.
And hopefully we don't get copyright infringement for me saying this, but just like Drake, started at the bottom and then we'll be there, right? Is that what he says?
I don't think that's what he says, but I don't know either. So.
Yeah, it's not country, so Chris is not listening to it. So number 12 is you, Chris. Let the Wookiee win. Again, hoping for no copyright infringement there. But to keep it frank, Chris, I feel like you're tanking.
I think tanking is a strong word.
I think you're a big tanker.
I very much would like to have the first pick, but I'm acquiring as much value as I can. And there wasn't a lot of value at running back in the draft, so I didn't go that way.
That's fair. I don't.
I'll vouch for Chris because I'm doing the same thing that he's doing. I mean, yeah. I'm not tanking per se. My team is just awful.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not tanking. My team is just not any good.
It's not like I'm not deliberately starting people.
Nate, we are not talking about you yet. We have not brought your team up.
It's a good point.
It's a good point.
But yeah, I'm actively starting the people that I believe are going to give me the highest points total each week. It's just I don't know if I can get to 110. I don't know if I physically am capable.
All I know is, regardless of your tanking, you traded for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Are you feeling like that might have been a sham?
Yeah, but I don't feel like I really gave up. I gave up Derek Carr for him.
Yeah, man, but Derek Carr's got Devontae Adams, and that offense looks like it might improve. I'm not sure the Broncos' offense is going to improve. It looks like it might be a dumpster fire.
Doesn't matter. I have Tua still because I believed longer than everyone else.
That is true. You did believe in Tua.
QB.
What?
Well, I'm not going to talk
the number 5 QB.
Yeah, because he's great.
But
he's the future of my team.
Your number 3 overall pick hasn't even played yet, so we can't really talk about your team. But until Jameson Williams takes the field, because he may be magnificent.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was happy to get him because I didn't know what was going to happen when he got on the field with Amon-Ra. Now I'm like, yeah, he's definitely not going to be the one.
Yeah, your starting roster will include him, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and T.J. Hawkinson when all 3 are playing. You're going to be very Lions heavy, which doesn't seem like a bad problem these days. That's kind of weird to say in itself.
Bad defense and offense that likes to throw the ball all over the place. It sounds like a perfect thing.
Well, I'll take this to number 11. We've talked about you too long. Another team that could perhaps be thinking. They had the number 1 pick. They've improved since having the number 1 pick. So I want to say that, but they've improved to the point where they're the 11th best team in the league now. That's Julius. That is already having a blunt. Young Cats, right?
Yeah.
Team Young Cats 23, and I'm guessing that's a reference to Michael Jordan, but it's really not, guys. It's a reference to LeBron, which is odd in itself as well. He's a diehard LeBron fan. Yeah. So Team Young Cats, good team, getting better. James Robinson, Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars are on the up and up. Romeo Doubs looks legit. Breece Hall has been looking better. Tom Brady as a backup quarterback behind Trevor Lawrence, and yes, I did say that correctly, is pretty fantastic. J.K. Dobbins coming back from an injury, Alvin Kamara, Devin Duvernay. I like this team. This team may move up in the rankings if they accidentally win a few games.
I love the way you put that. They may accidentally move up the rankings. I mean, there's no way that team doesn't move up the rankings. I'm just saying, you look at Nate's team and you look at mine. There's nobody on that team that you want to start at running back. There's like 4 on this team.
Yeah, I love James Robinson. Totally bought into him already. I was bought into him.
How I have 15 more points than him. It's very confusing.
I don't know how I only have like 4 less. I should have so much less.
Well, any other things about Julius before we move on to Nate?
No, win some games. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Win a couple, man.
Yeah,
Get you some.
yeah that's your challenger over there for the number one pick. And yeah, he wants you to win some games. Julius does listen to the podcast, according to him, so he may hear you say that and may decide to win a couple of games because you encouraged him. So let's see. Moving on to Nate at number 10, Trumpelo Bills. Trump's not in office anymore, but Nate, a diehard Trump fan, is still standing by his man. Very loyal. Number 10, Nate, I like your team. I like some of the things going on. I do. I like his draft picks. That's what I was going to get at, but his draft capital is strong. It is very strong for the future, and he's still got some young players to trade, and he knows it. Hence why he's been denying all my Deshaun Watson trades.
I enjoy denying all those Deshaun Watson trades. I actually got a couple trades from Tom this week for Patrick Mahomes, and I denied all those too.
Yeah, I got a ton for Chris Olave and Amon-Ra St. Brown. All great trades. It was giving me way too much value, but I really like both those players.
Well, I don't know what else to say about Nate's team other than he's obviously tanking as well. You guys heard it on the podcast. He's a big old tanker just like Chris. He's number 10.
You did it like
11.
5 years ago before we had a podcast.
That brings us to
Lucas, am I allowed to change my name? Is that allowed or is it frowned upon?
Oh, it's definitely frowned upon.
It's certainly frowned upon.
It's definitely frowned upon, especially from a co-commissioner of the league. However, I just thought it was fun to make fun of you for deciding to go with the times. 6 years ago, obviously Donald Trump was with the times then. He's no longer in the times now, so he's out of touch.
Donald Trump is timeless. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you may be right. For all those MAGA lovers out there, we apologize if you're offended.
Who said anything bad but you until now?
Moving along, where were we at? I think we're on number 9. Who's number 9? That is Max. Juju in your hoo-hoo. Having a rough year. We just talked about it a little earlier. Does have both Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, who I do feel stronger about all of a sudden now that Cooper Rush is that quarterback. I don't know why I feel stronger about it, but I do like it. And I like Jahan Dotson. And obviously Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. I don't think this team's bad. I think there's still, despite him being at number 9, he probably has a chance of making the playoffs still.
Of course he does. He makes playoffs every year. It's a travesty. He shouldn't be at 9. He's going to make the playoffs again. He always does.
Wow, strong.
I'm happy that the Dallas running backs are producing. It's good to see they could still produce them in a different team this year.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that how Dak Prescott became the starting quarterback of the Cowboys? He just started filling in as the backup due to injury, and then people were like, "Oh, this guy's really good." Doesn't it feel like that's kind of history repeating itself right now with Cooper Rush?
I don't know if Dak Prescott signs a deal to commentate games with Tony Romo here, then yes, it will feel just like that.
Isn't Dak Prescott owed like $150 million? I think he's okay.
Yeah, dude, they got to pay him a ton of money still.
Yeah, I was just having fun with that, but he may not even play, so we'll see.
Oh no, he's only going to be out 4 weeks. He'll be fine.
Yeah, until he hurts his thumb again or whatever finger he hurt this time. Moving on, unless you guys have more to say about Max, it didn't sound like there was a lot of commentary on Max.
Other than that, he's massively underranked on this.
Yeah, you've been well on the record about your support of Max, which is, clearly you coming back to your old childhood days of you and Max teaming up on all the smaller kids around the neighborhood.
No, I mean, it's all the times I got to use the diving board. This is a payback. I got to give it back. Got to pay it back.
who had the diving board?
Max did.
Oh, I can't remember.
And the ping pong.
I don't know why.
Ping pong, man. How could you? Oh, the foosball. That was what it was. It was the foosball.
Ping pong at his house, but I don't remember the diving board.
No, the foosball at his house when we were kids. I remember that too.
Yeah, I remember a lot of things at Max's house.
And
we spent a lot of time
sticky
at Max's
noting
house
his whole room when he got pissed off because we sticky noted his whole room. I remember that too.
I do remember that too, actually.
So yes, that's
that
why Max should be at least in the top 6. Anyways,
yeah,
you can go on to 8.
Room, and we gave just label descriptions of what everything was in his entire room, like everything. That alone makes him deserve to be higher ranked than number 9. So we apologize, Max. But you're still number 9 because we're not going to redo the list. So number 8, that is Bill. So the Bill is God, Reefer Madness? Yeah, Reefer Madness.
Yeah, Reefer Madness.
His team's only gotten slowly better every year since he drafted number 1 overall, where he got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But his team's still good. Rashad Bateman's still kind of coming out a little bit. Traylon Burks, he hasn't shown that flash yet, so I think he might be regretting that draft pick. But be patient. I think it's coming. I think Traylon, he had a couple targets last week, but his snap count's going up every week, so I'm kind of bought into him a little bit. Rashad Penny, I don't know. Kenneth Walker, Devontae Parker had the game of his career last week. Tyler Boyd as well. Didn't start either of them. I think
Devonta Smith. Devonta
Yeah,
Smith.
oh, yeah,
AJ Dillon.
Devonta Smith, man.
His number 1 draft pick last year obviously just went completely off. The team's good. He's built this team through the draft too, so you got to respect him.
AJ Dillon's good.
AJ Dillon didn't do anything last week.
No, but he's good. Like he's good though.
Yeah. I know he's down on AJ Dillon a little bit, and I think Mike Williams kind of had a down game last week too, didn't he? I know he got a touchdown.
Yeah, he scored, but it wasn't like a big Mike Williams game. But yeah, I mean, Russell Gage, as long as Tampa's got injuries, he's going to be useful. I don't think he's ever going to have 12 catches for 100 and a touchdown or whatever he had on Sunday, but
yeah, I mean he's got to be patient.
Yeah,
he's got Michael Carter too. I know he just had a bad week too, but I mean there's definitely something there. In Dynasty, so
boy, and the Jets want to use Michael Carter too.
They're going to use both of them for sure. Yeah. So, well, that takes us to number 7, and that's Eric. I felt strongly about Eric not being in the top 6. Other people on this call may have said he could be as high as top 5. People are liking Eric, but let's talk about Eric's team.
For the record, some people, sources have said, wanted him at 6, not 5.
Yeah, that is fair. You did have him at 6. That is also fair.
Sources,
Lucas. Sources.
Jalen Hurts and Tyreek Hill. That's what this guy mostly has. Najee Harris, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, who dropped I don't even know how many catches last night. I should say. He dropped a shit ton of catches last night. But Tyler Higbee has been getting a ton of targets. And Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris both look pretty good. So the team's good. Borderline playoff team. Still, I think he's got the worst bench in all of football. And despite having the worst bench in all of football, he still has Zay Jones on there, who I actually like a lot. So yeah.
I just think his starting line looks good. And he's scoring pretty decently this season, or at least the last 2 weeks. So we'll see.
That's fair.
I mean,
anybody else got more talk on Eric?
I don't understand like the statistical probability of it, but for whatever reason, he always has the lowest points against him, and he just ekes out wins all year and just keeps winning. I don't understand it. But
you said it.
But he keeps winning. He did it last year, and he's doing it again. Like,
and he had like way less points than me and Malcolm both. Mm-hmm. So I got nothing. You're right. Maybe it's the Najee Harris effect. Ever since he drafted him, he's been pretty good. That takes us to number 6. And number 6 is me. I was in the championship the last 2 seasons, but I'm not feeling strong about my team, and it sounds like nobody else is either.
You're like another team that's going to come up soon, where your team's just not performing to the level it should on paper.
Yeah, no, I like your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Miles Sanders, I'm never going to like. I just never have. Rodgers is going to be better. The rookies are going to be better. I don't know about DJ Moore, though. I don't know about that
Rookies
one.
are going to be better. You've got Christian Watson and Wan'Dale Robinson, who basically have very limited playing time as of now. Alec Pierce is the same way. I think those guys will grow up and get some more reps and.
Well, I think
Get a lot better.
Isaiah Likely was a nice long-term pick.
Oh, yep, him too.
But then,
I like my depth. I'm not a gigantic fan of the starting lineup though. And Miles Sanders has actually been one of my better running backs. Last week was his only down week. He went 17.5, 10.1, and then 4.9 last week.
I just never liked him. Never felt like I could trust him.
I'm not a big fan either, and I paid less than a first-round pick for him. When it's all said and done with Ricky. So another good trade by Ricky, by the way.
He must go in very high in drafts, and he's running back number 23 right now. So he's kind of right where I think people thought he would be.
Yeah.
I feel like he's exceeded expectations a little bit, but yeah, I think he's been
not
disappointing.
I never look at Miles Sanders as a guy like, that's what I need. That'll put me over the hump. That's going to win me a championship. Like, no.
It's not. Yeah, but running back too. About your rookies in the flex, though, and he's going to start every single week, it was kind of an easy decision for me. But yeah, I do see where you're coming from on that. Yeah. I literally knew he was going to start every week, and so far I think he has, and he's going to start this week in replace of DeAndre Swift. So
he's certainly a starter in a league like this.
Yeah. Yep. He's going to start every week because I have a lot of rookies that, like Nate said before, that I don't trust. Although I did pick up Noah Brown last week, and I feel real good about starting him. I might even start him this week. So Noah Brown's been interesting. I know he's old. Doesn't really give me a lot of value in terms of longevity, but I've been starting him in a couple of fantasy leagues, and he has done pretty well for me the last 2 weeks.
Commander secondary, I think that's a good play.
Yeah. Well, hopefully my team gets better. Moving on to number 5, and we just talked about this guy. He traded it all away for a golden ticket. The golden ticket is Dameon Pierce, and his name is Ricky. And his new team name, God, I already forgot his new team name already, guys. I'm sorry. New League, New Rick was his name. Now it is 2 teams, 1 cup, bringing it back to the old school 2 girls, 1 cup, which of course was
If you don't know what that is, Google it.
Oh, look it up.
Do yourself a favor and please go Google 2 girls, 1 cup and have a great day, guys.
It's not on your computer.
Yeah, make sure that Chris labels this 18 and up for this.
Not that way. Definitely not the word computer. Good call.
Ricky seems good, and Dameon Pierce needs to be started. I think we've made that very clear on this podcast already, so I'm not going to harp on that.
Yeah.
Just trust in yourself, man. You've made great trades so far. Just trust in your team, and then trust in Cooper Kupp, and then just let your team ride, man. Cordarrelle Patterson, George Kittle, Greg Dortch, start these guys every week and have faith.
Dak's not worth it. Play Kirk Cousins.
That takes us to number 4, and that's our former champion, Tom. We talked about Tom a lot already, too, but just to touch on real quick, he's got Jonathan Taylor, who's underperformed. He's got A.J. Brown, who's looked really good in Philadelphia. Michael Pittman just came back from an injury. Kyle Pitts looked better than he's ever looked last week, I feel like. And then Joe Mixon's underperformed. David Montgomery's played really well, but is hurt, but somehow could play this week, according to Sleeper, which is a little confusing. Not a gigantic fan of his bench, although he does have Deontay Johnson on his bench. And then he's got Elijah Moore and Nico Collins, who he's offering up to all of us in the league every single week, it feels like, in trades, acting like the wide receivers ones. But, yeah, his team's solid and good and could win the championship again this year.
I'm over Montgomery. I think he needs to start playing Herbert.
He does have Herbert, too.
Well, I mean, assuming that Montgomery's hurt, I'm guessing he will.
Montgomery may play this week, according to Sleeper.
That's ridiculous.
Very odd. Yeah, agreed.
Day to day. Yeah. I'd still play Herbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate the team. I do hate some of the decisions on the roster, but like Kenny Golladay, for instance, who he's also pandering off to us. I think he failed. I think he failed at wide receiver this year with that Sky Moore pick, which, man, that makes me feel real good that he busted out on his first round pick. I think that maybe end up being a bust. I think Sky Moore may be entirely a bust.
I think week 3 is still too early to call anybody a bust, but it's
You
really
watched Red Zone last week?
it's starting to look like it could be that way. I mean, look, because he dropped a punt return, like
He dropped 2 punt
yeah,
returns.
true, he did drop 2.
He dropped 2, and every week it looks like he's lost on the field
But
and like
like
he doesn't know what he's rolling.
yeah, but like for example, like Kareem Hunt's first carry ever was a fumble, and then he went
Yeah,
for like 30 points that game, which is a
yeah.
little bit different
Did
in this
Sky Moore go for
situation.
30
But
points when he muffed
no,
2 punts?
that's what I mean. But like, just because someone makes a mistake early in their career doesn't necessarily mean he's done for. But right now, it
Well,
looks like because I'm trying to think who are the other
it's
options
looking
there.
bad right now.
George,
We can all agree it looks bad now.
I mean, when the next three of the next 4 people picked were Jahan Dotson, Damian Pierce, and George Pickens, then yeah, it does kind of look like a
Yeah,
miss.
yeah. I that makes me that may be the reason why he's not the number 1 team right now is that he doesn't have a Drake London or a I'm trying to think George Pickens, Damon Pierce. He could have drafted Damon Pierce, and his team would be phenomenal right now, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I just think that may hurt him, and I kind of get excited about that he made a mistake there. Um, that takes us to number 3, Rick. Rick could easily be number 2 or number 3 as well, depending on how you look at it.
Could easily be
My
number
balls
1 too.
So like
Yeah.
I said,
He's been
I
the
said
most.
1, 2, or 3.
I didn't hear you say 1, but yeah, he's
Yeah,
been consistent as shit.
I thought that's what I said. I may have not said that, but
Either
anyway.
way, but yeah,
Uh,
point made.
my ball, Zach Ertz, has Josh Allen for the first time ever, and Josh Allen could look better, and it still looked pretty good. Javonte Williams could look better, and it still looked pretty good. James Conner, Jalen Waddle, dear God, Jalen Waddle's looked good. Scary Terry could have looked a lot better, and that's looked pretty good. Christian Kirk has looked awesome. Darren Waller has looked okay. Cam Akers is looking better. Travis Etienne is looking okay. Yeah, the bench is kind of solid. Chris Godwin's out here on the bench. Alan Lazard's out here on the bench. George Pickens is on the bench. Evan Ingram's on the bench. I mean, I like this team. It could be another championship team.
Yeah, it's all the young guys we've talked about the last couple of years are finally good, and he has that one missing piece that I mean, at least him and I have talked about how he just has never had a quarterback that could go out and dominate, and now that he has, his team is dominating, so.
Yeah. And Jalen Waddle, man.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle. Like, holy crap. He is next level talent from the looks of it. Possibly like a top round or second round pick for the history of Dynasty and redraft leagues from here on out. I think he might be that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have much
wide
to say
receiver.
about him.
He's wide receiver number 4, and he's definitely in line to be another PPR god like Antonio Brown. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And he's got another superstar wide receiver playing on the other side of him. So who's also
crazy.
leading the league in touchdowns, I think, too. Maybe that's Diggs. I think he might be second in the league in that. He might be leading the league in yards. But anyway, what else we can say about Rick's team? We're gonna move on.
He's got good depth.
Yeah,
That's
Solid.
better than I thought. Yeah.
Great. Ingram looks like he's gonna be a tight end stud in fantasy this year.
Yeah, he does look good.
So funny how many Jaguars we've talked about.
A lot of Jaguars. We haven't even talked about Marvin Jones at all. And I think Marvin Jones is serviceable in Dynasty as well.
Yeah, in a different league, I had a kid who was a Jags fan who literally his entire team, all he did was draft Jaguars, and he's won 2 games. So
yeah, he should. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Trevor Lawrence is 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah,
he is. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league last year. That is a ridiculous transformation.
It shows you how terrible Urban Meyer is for an organization.
How bad we all could picture it being, like, as in worst case scenario, it's worse than that. That's crazy. Moving on, that is Malcolm. I can't believe Malcolm's not number 1 here. But that is Fly Society.
I'm second in points. What do you mean you can't believe I'm not number 1?
Second in points means nothing because I see 2 championship trophies next to your name.
You're second in points by half a point.
Yeah, that means nothing to me. And you got the fantasy MVP in Lamar Jackson right now, so.
I do like him. He's been fun.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson. Dalvin Cook hasn't looked great. Christian McCaffrey's looked pretty fantastic. Justin Jefferson could be looking better, but he's doing okay. T. Higgins looks fantastic. He's coming back in games after major head trauma too, so that's weird. Michael Thomas has looked phenomenal on a team in which Jameis Winston is finding 3 wide receivers every game. It seems like it's real.
How hurt is Michael
Smith
Thomas?
got yards last game.
How hurt is Michael Thomas, Malcolm?
I don't think he's going to play this week, honestly.
But it's not like a long-term thing because I know he's had that ankle issue for what, like 2 fucking years.
I haven't seen anything where it's long-term yet. But
you nervous?
You
nervous? Are you scared?
Yeah.
No. Like, even if he is I can replace him, which is okay.
Yeah, you can replace him.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, turf toe's no joke, man.
I don't think it's turf toe, though.
Oh, okay, he's good.
So Malcolm has the best tight end and the best kicker, which I have not mentioned yet. Travis Kelce, Justin Tucker. On his bench, he's got Jamal Williams, who will not be on his bench much longer. Alexander Madison, to Dalvin Cook. Corey Davis on his bench. Brandon Ayuk's on his bench. Gerald Everett's on his bench. Malcolm's team looks like it could be the best team. I stand by my pick as him number 1. I think he's on pace for another championship, and that scares me.
Yeah, I definitely don't want that to happen.
I imagine you do.
It's feeling real 2018, 2019-ish over here. 2020.
Oh, wow. Bold prediction. So you're saying right now, you're predicting you're going to go undefeated?
No.
I heard it. You said it.
Malcolm is going undefeated.
Malcolm has said here on the podcast live that he's going undefeated this year.
No, you have to listen. With my team right now, you have to put up 130 like minimum.
You heard it, right, Nate? You heard it too.
Yeah, he plays FIFA week 14.
Oh so. Man, to close out the season?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. We could who made the schedule?
I did.
This is a great schedule.
I never said I was going undefeated this year.
I think
it's never
you did.
Gonna happen again.
Nate heard it. Lucas heard it. I heard it. We all heard it.
All of America just
the fans heard it. Everyone knows you believe you're going undefeated. So
your kindergarten crush just heard it. Everybody will listen to this podcast. It's going live. 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, Chris?
This is bulletin board material for Robert Fife.
Yeah, it really is. Who is our number 1, by the way? Perfect segue to move on to the rest of our power rankings. Robert Fife, number 1. Joe Buckman something. Joe Buck.
Joe Buck yourself. What he's saying to Fly Society right now. Joe Buck yourself.
Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry, or King Henry, whichever he wants to be called. Saquon Barkley, who looks unbelievable. Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs. Amari Cooper, who also looks unbelievable. Logan Thomas, Nick Chubb, who looks like he could finish number 1 in all fantasy. Jeff Wilson. The rest of the team, not so much. Although he does have J.D. McKissick. He's got some Isaiah McKenzie, some DJ Shark, and Dalton Schultz and Tyler Conklin. But the team looks really good. Looks like he could give Malcolm a run for his money.
Yeah, top end that team's just those 3 running backs, man.
And his receivers.
Well, yeah, but if the 3 running backs go off all in the same time, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Tight ends are so bad this year that Tyler Conklin is the number 4 tight end.
Yeah.
It's week 3.
So Tyler Conklin's number 4 tight end with only 1 touchdown, and he has 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
That's the tight end position, man. That's why
2 fumbles in 3 games and number 4 tight end.
Unless you're Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce or who are the other 2? Kittle, Waller.
That's it.
But yeah, that's really it.
Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce are on different levels. Nobody else is in the same ballpark. And I'm glad to say that me and Malcolm have both those players.
Yeah.
Perfect segue. Yeah. Let's go right into third down. We were going to do one player from every team that has been skyrocketing in value after 3 games. And we're going to just go ahead and start with our first place team, and that is Joe Buck yourself. So any player that stands out on Joe Buck yourself that is just skyrocketed in value.
It's got to be Saquon for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the same
where he
thing.
started.
I think we all knew.
I'm gonna say Amari Cooper. I don't think I came into the season with Cooper being as good as he is. Honestly,
Cooper's played pretty phenomenal. 3 points week 1, 20.6 week 2, 19.6 week 3. Consistent the last 2 weeks, and that's league-winning numbers for Amari Cooper. So, yeah, I think Amari Cooper or Saquon Barkley are both good choices. Anybody else have something different?
No.
All right. Well, that takes us to number 2 on our power rankings is Malcolm, Fly Society. Who here is skyrocketed in value? And
I mean,
man,
I don't know. Gabe Davis skyrocketed before the season started, but like Michael Thomas, man, like I don't think a lot of people were very excited about him just because no one knew what the hell was gonna happen. And so far, it's like, oh shit, he's still Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Malcolm played the long con on Michael Thomas. He waited forever to get Michael Thomas back, and it's paying out dividends. And I think that's a great call because he did it the right way too. He didn't try to trade Michael Thomas. He just sat there and waited patiently, like I assume Nate thinks he's doing with Deshaun Watson, and just waiting for him to come back. And okay, I'll wait for him to play a couple games, then I'll see what this guy's
want him.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
I think it's Jamal Williams.
I think that's a good one. I think it's a fair to say Lamar Jackson though too.
Yeah.
What about Jamal Williams?
That's what I said. Yeah, I mean, not on age, but just on production. Jamal Williams.
I think Jamal Williams was that valuable last year, in my opinion. I thought he was undervalued this year as well. I thought they were going to use him.
He was undrafted. I picked him up in free agency.
When you picked him in Dynasty?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I picked him up after the draft.
After the draft, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was not on a roster. He was the first roster.
Jamal Williams was on our roster after our draft?
Correct.
Holy shit, that's pretty stupid of us then.
I saw him. I had no running backs. He was the first move I made after the draft.
I thought
who's that
DeAndre Swift owner would have made sure he did them.
Huh. Well, Jamal Williams it is for me then. Have you played him yet at all?
I played him week 2 and he sucked. And then I didn't play him last week and he was awesome.
So yeah, we haven't seen him yet. So for your team, but yeah, that's a good one I think. That takes us to Rick. My ball, Zach Ertz.
All of them.
I mean, I think it's Christian Kirk though.
Yeah.
Even over Waddle.
Yeah.
Waddle's had a transformation. We never saw Christian Kirk do this yet.
No.
And this is bad. I think him and Trevor have a connection, and he's in the slot too. So you just know those receptions are going to come every week. So
he scored every game, right?
I think
every
so.
game, yeah. No, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. He did not score week 1, but he had 117 yards week 1 and 12 targets. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy, we talked about targets earlier. Man, this guy has 27 targets through 3 games. That's ridiculous. And it's not just him getting the targets. There's 3 other people on the field getting 7, 8 targets a game.
Yeah, I mean he's playing 90% of snaps, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
They run 3 wide receiver sets almost every single play. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it looks kind of Patrick Mahomes-esque, and Doug Peterson's apparently a wizard in the NFL offenses. So,
yeah, I'm liking Doug Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have to like Doug Peterson. Where are we at? That was Rick. 4 is Tom. Kyle Pitts has only played 1 game, so, but I think his value went up a lot in that 1 game.
I think it's AJ Brown.
Yeah, I think it's AJ Brown
I think
too.
AJ Brown this season has been better than I personally thought he was going to be. He's amazing. He's out of
Yeah,
control.
I have to agree with that too. Another guy that's had a shit ton of targets too. 31 targets through 3 games. Yeah, AJ Brown's a good one. If not AJ Brown, I probably would be saying David Montgomery just because I thought that he hasn't looked like. I mean, I would have never guessed David Montgomery was like a guy that people wanted to have, but after that 122-yard game week 2, I think everybody was kind of hyping him up a little bit, and then of course he got hurt. So now I wouldn't say him anymore.
Yeah, and it's
And,
same thing with Michael Pittman.
it could be
Michael
Herbert.
Pittman he was being drafted in the third rounds of redraft leagues though, so I don't know about him.
That's outrageous, in my opinion.
Well, that takes us to number 5, and that's Ricky. I'm just gonna say for fun's sake, Damon Pierce.
It's Pierce.
Yeah, it's gotta be Damian Pierce without a question.
It's kind of funny because he really is never going to ever meet the value of what Ricky traded for him in the first place. So technically, he'll never actually exceed someone's value.
Other than that, Greg Dortch.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dortch or Aaron Jones. No, not Aaron Jones either.
Or Daniel Patterson.
Yeah.
I didn't think he could repeat.
No, I didn't either. Because, like, looking at it now, I'm just like, man, if I wouldn't have traded everybody, I'm like, I think I might have been pretty good again.
Yeah, Damon Pierce, I think, or not Damon Pierce, I'm having a blank. Dortch is probably the best option from what I'm looking at here.
Dortch has 20 catches on 23 targets.
I know, right?
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, what's gonna happen when everyone comes back? Who knows?
Which is like in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Rondo Moore could come back this week, so it may even start a little early. Number 6, Potent.
I gotta go back to your team. Sorry, hold on.
I am Potent on here, aren't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure that's still my name.
It's gotta be Drake London, easily
Yeah.
for me.
I was gonna say Drake or Garrett for me. I'm not exactly sure which one. I actually had higher expectations for Drake than Garrett, so.
I want to see Garrett Wilson with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to come back this week.
Yeah. I think we can all agree it's not DJ Moore.
Definitely not.
All right, well, that's number 7, and that is Eric. I'm just going to go out and say it. Not even a big surprise. It's Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Easily.
Don't have to be anybody else. Because
Yeah.
I thought he was good. I didn't think he was this good.
Nope.
I don't think anybody else did either.
Ah, man, very impressive.
Moving right along. Just a quick honorable mention for Tyler Higbee, by the way. Nice trade. He's gotten a shit ton of targets. That guy is getting the ball a bunch. And he's in a pretty decent offense, too. I mean, got to give him credit, although I know Chris can't possibly give him credit because he's from Western Kentucky.
Yeah, he's terrible.
So moving right along to number 8, and that's Bill. I don't know about this one.
Clyde, maybe? Because I think we all kind of
as
gave
much as
up.
I hate to
We all
say
kind of
it.
gave up on Clyde.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody valued Devonta Smith as much as they did until last week.
No. But, once again, that's 1 week. But that was a really fucking good week.
That really was. It was an amazing
No,
game.
Rashad Bateman could be up there too, honestly.
Yeah, Babe.
for
He's got
me.
great calls on all 3 of those, I think, actually. Well, take your pick, ladies and gentlemen. Could be any of those 3. Max at number 9. Jahan Dotson?
Yeah.
Or Pollard, maybe?
Him or Antonio Gibson, as weird as that kind of sounds.
Gibson's not a bad one, too. We were writing him off, too, so.
Well, Brian Robinson will be back. We'll see then.
Gibson didn't have he's been consistent. He didn't have a great week last week, though. He got a touchdown last week, but only 38 yards rushing. His rushing's actually been pretty pathetic.
Yeah.
Week 1, he got a lot of receptions for 72 yards, but the guy's only rushed for slightly over 100 yards in the first 3 games. So he's not been good.
When they've been running the ball with like Curtis Samuel down near the goal line a lot more too, so he's not even getting quality touches.
Yeah, I love the Curtis Samuel work. I have him in a lot of leagues. Um, Jahan Dotson, for me,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna
I
say
didn't
Dotson for me.
expect Dotson to be able to make
No,
the types of plays he's made. So
I was trying to talk myself out of taking him at number 11, and I was happy to see Max take him in front of me, knowing that that created an opening for me to get Christian Watson instead. Now, looking at what I see now, I think Watson I would take Dotson over Watson immediately. But yeah, moving on. That is number 10, and that is Nate. Um, I mean, it's not Tyler Algier.
I think it's Kadarius Toney. It's got to be Kadarius Toney.
It's not probably not Kadarius Toney either. Um,
Curtis Samuel?
No, I
Yeah,
mean DK
maybe.
Metcalf has been pretty impressive so far. Even though he
I
has
don't
freaking
know.
Yeah, I
Curtis
have him in the
Samuel.
best friends league.
It's got to be
Yeah,
Curtis
Not that
Samuel.
great.
yeah,
He's
I'm
wide
just gonna
receiver
take
number
Curtis Samuel.
43. I'm not impressed.
Oh no, never mind. I apologize. It is Jelani Woods. The
In
guy that
one week.
Yeah.
Jelani Woods is skyrocketing in value now, though. I did
Yeah, I
tell
guess
Nate
it'll work.
prior to the draft. Nate, you remember this? I'm guessing too. Who did I tell you was the tight end sleeper? And you're like, oh, is it Jelani Woods? Yeah, I did let it slip that Jelani Woods was on my radar in the draft, and he got drafted by you, like a dick. So, um, moving on, Julius at number 11, and for me, it's James Robinson, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I didn't think he was
Yeah.
going to play this season, let
Yeah.
alone like dominate snaps. It's incredible.
Yeah, Romeo Doubs, I think he had the hype, and I think his hype was kind of well justified. But James Robinson, people were sleeping on across the board, and I never really understood that. And I drafted him in every league for that exact reason, and here we are. He's legit. He has never proven us wrong yet, and he's only 24 years old, and he was undrafted. So he's got that gripe on his shoulders no matter what happens.
Some would say he's got that dog in him. So
Yeah, I'd throw Trevor Lawrence out there too. Just pair them together.
Anybody on the Jags can be in this conversation, literally.
Yeah.
Oh, and Devin Duvernay as well.
Oh, Duvernay's looking. I mean, just special teams alone, you could tell he's going to be a future special teams amazing, like possibly a special teams Hall of Famer if he has a great career, like what it's looked like so far.
He doesn't have DJ Shark anymore. I was gonna say like, there was a time when like, cause I had Devin Duvernay at one point on my roster. I had DJ Shark at one point. I had so many people that team has had on my roster that I've dropped and then they've gotten good afterwards. It's frustrating. Just before it was Colt and now it's him. I'm just like, why does it keep happening to that team?
Well, that takes us to number 12. Well, let's see. Here's the people it's not. It's not Russell Wilson. It's not TJ Hawkinson. And it's not Darnell Mooney. However, it could be Cortland Sutton, Chris Olave, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or it could be Tua.
Hawkinson?
I already said it's not Hawkinson.
It's gonna be we're gonna be a hard no on that.
Hawkinson.
I know you guys probably want to say it's.
I say it's Olave.
Brown, but I think it's Olave too.
I think it's Olave.
Yeah.
Me personally.
I think Olave is a once-in-a-lifetime talent from what I've seen so far, and I'm completely bought in on him. But I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is too. So I think you got two future amazing wide receivers, as I said prior to the podcast. Like, I'm totally bought in on them. And Chris knows I was going to pick Olave at possibly 5, maybe 7 as well, and he drafted him in front of me. He sniped me. He knew it.
Last 2 weeks, he's had 13 targets each week.
Yeah, he has.
Insane.
What happens when Jameis is no longer the quarterback there, by the way, which will happen?
You throw it to your best player on the field, so they still throw it to him.
Did Chris Godwin ever really show what he showed those years with Jameis, even with Tom Brady?
No, not yet. He's had injuries, though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, Jameis makes wide receivers great in fantasy, and I think that's
fair.
Sometimes I think he's a rookie. Obviously, I think he's going to play great with anybody. I don't care who's throwing the ball. Similar to like Joe Flacco to Garrett Wilson, or Marcus Mariota to Drake London. I don't care who's throwing the ball. Those guys are elite talents and they're rookies. So, but
Like
We've seen this
Jared
before.
Goff to
Chris
Amon
Godwin
Ra,
is young. Was that?
or like Jared Goff to St. Brown.
I mean, is that? Yeah, I guess it's always been. Even then, didn't the one guy play a lot last year, and Armon Ra had a great time too?
He's just that good. But yeah, but same
I think
concept.
Amon Ra had a good end of the year, didn't he?
Yeah, it was the end of the year.
With the shitty quarterback that got cut from Hard Knocks. Having a blank on his
First off, his name is Tim Boyle, and he's a
No, that's what I'm talking
he's
about.
a graduate of Eastern Kentucky University.
No, I'm not talking about.
How
Tim Boyle,
dare you?
I'm not talking about Tim Boyle.
You better not. You better not be.
QBs. Anyway, so what do we agree on here?
Chris Olave.
I think you were talking about
Yeah,
Olave.
Khalif Raymond, maybe?
Khalif Raymond's a receiver.
Oh, were you talking about a quarterback?
David Blau, by the way.
David Blau, yeah.
That's who I'm talking about. Even with him playing last year, Armon Ra had a great game too. Moving on.
You know, his wife's an Olympian.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all saw Hard Knocks.
So did you know Amon Ra can list everyone that was drafted in front of him?
Hey, by the way, Armon Ra's little brother or older brother, I should say, looks really good now all of a sudden.
Equanimous.
you guys know Jamal Williams can give some inspirational speeches.
Oh yeah.
Chris, if you just started working out with their dad, I think you might be back in the NFL.
Back in it, like I was there before.
I got my crack addict shirt somewhere. We can really show up to some of those practices and get you on the field.
You're probably the only one that's got that shirt still.
I'm confident that that shirt is
Nate, Malcolm, do you have yours?
No, I don't have that.
I don't know. I might still have it. It might be stored away.
That's funny.
Well, that finishes up our third down. Fourth down is just water cooler talk, and I don't know. I mean, quick water cooler talk. You know, off the record in terms of football and dynasty football, for that matter.
Game of Thrones.
Having a baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
That's happened for the last podcast.
I was so excited to talk about Game of Thrones. But yeah, I mean, I had a child. She's wonderful. She's healthy. And I'm really excited to see where this journey goes.
Welcome to the Dad Club.
Yeah.
Fucking losers.
Remember, since 2016.
Oh, there you go. Is that what you were going to play?
Is that the thing? Yeah.
All right, so you got some sound effects finally, and I was able to make that work. But yeah.
Why would
Congrats,
YouTube
man.
censor that?
I have no idea. It's not YouTube, it's Discord that censored it, so we're not even on YouTube yet.
Oh.
However, yeah, congrats, man. Now you join the Dad Club. There's only one of us on this podcast now that doesn't have a kid, so sounds like Chris is a big loser.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go sleep peacefully tonight in this bed.
I mean, we all will too, because our kids are, outside of Nate, I should say, at least. But, all right, well, what else on water cooler talk, guys? I know we've talked about a lot tonight. Gone about an hour and 20 minutes long at this point.
Hour and 18.
That was only an hour. I guess my math's a little
Hour
off.
18 and 29.
Not
Interesting to see when the next big trade happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that. We have not seen a whole lot of trades this season. We saw a huge influx in the off season, but now that we're in season, it's kind of slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of trying to wait.
Play with the players that they just traded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just drafted, and we're kind of waiting to see. I think there'll probably be another one or two, probably like right before trade deadline. But yeah, I think everyone's kind of liking their teams, and like I'm very much in a wait and see type of mood. So like I'm not really actively looking to trade people. I like the draft capital I have. I like some of the players I have. Some players I have are terrible, and I know they're not going to be there. But yeah, so I don't know. I know I'm not looking. So
What's your thoughts on trading draft picks 3 years out?
I mean, you
oh,
just have
like
to
me?
understand the risk.
Like me personally?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on being able to do that in general? I
I
guess
mean,
as a rule in Dynasty.
right now I have no issues with it because I have so many draft picks in the next 2 years. But like
Well, I mean, you
typically they're not. I don't really look at them like they're that use. Unless, like 3 years out, unless it's a first or a second, like I don't really see it as something that has a ton of value. Like thirds, I'll still look at like they mean something, but like that far away, you have no idea where that pick's gonna be. Because if
Somebody
you're,
sends me a pick from 3 years from now,
yeah,
a first or a second, I'm not valuing it that high.
yeah,
Like it's not something like next year I'm gonna get something
yeah.
that I can use immediately. I
Because
mean,
like just
it's
because I think you're gonna finish in the bottom five next year doesn't mean 2 years from now you will. And all of a sudden, picking at 103 and picking at 112 are massively different. I've been picking it past 110 most of the time, and then being able to pick in the top six twice this year, I was just like, oh my god, there's so many players to choose. Like, it's just totally different. So yeah, unless they're early picks, like I don't, it's hard to value them.
in 3 years. My plan is to start being back in the playoffs every year.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I wouldn't
no, I agree. That's the same way I am. I'm like,
I wouldn't still be trying to rebuild at that point.
yeah,
yeah, I think that's fair too. I mean, I think it's smart to acquire draft capital, especially if you're getting a good deal for your players that you need to open up that roster spot. Like
yeah,
that's a situation that I know think we probably all dealt with it in
mhm,
Dynasty League at some point. Where like I need to have roster spots available
yeah,
because I don't feel like I'm active on the waiver wire and I'm not using my skills
correct,
to benefit my team
yeah,
in the future. And I think we've all felt the way at probably one point or another. And I think that's fair. But I think there's other teams out there that don't have that mindset, and I think it hinders them tremendously. Uh, but they don't really seem to care because they're not aware of it in the first place, which is a serious disadvantage to a lot of those teams. But at the same time, they're using some of those teams are trading away their draft capital in the future, even as far as 3 weeks out in advance, to benefit their team now. And I think that's kind of short sighted for the reasons you guys gave to begin with, which is that you should be looking to win 3 years from now if you're in a rebuild.
yeah. Because like I mean,
But
with the amount of draft picks I had this year and with the amount I have next year, like if I get two right this year and two right next year, all of a sudden I'm kind of back in the hunt where I can trade draft capital or a player or two and fill the holes I need, and then bam, I'm right back in the I can win now
yeah,
because most of the teams that are way further ahead of me now are going to be a lot older 3 years from now and aren't going to be as good.
yep,
So,
agreed. And we see how many times these first round picks and even second round picks and third round picks kind of just are complete busts altogether.
mm-hmm.
I know I've personally dropped my third round pick or one of my third round picks already, and I dropped them before even week 2 started, I think. So yeah, this is
Yeah, well, and then you have
sometimes these picks are busts.
my
As
two
simple as
third
that.
my two third round picks the year before. The one was Tony, who I turned into the 106 this year, which is now Chris Olave, and the other one was Amon-Ra St. Brown. So like, the third round may have changed my future, at least at the
Yeah.
receiver position. And like you're saying, your third round picks you aren't even on your team anymore. So it's you never
Yep.
know.
It just
You
depends on how you
really
draft.
don't
Yep.
know. You don't
Yeah, I
know
agree.
until you already know, and by then it's too late.
Agreed. Well, that's all I got. I know we're pushing probably our longer episodes, so yeah. You guys got anything else in the locker room talk?
Yeah, go watch Game of Thrones, House of
Oh
Dragon.
yeah. We can touch on that real quick, but man, best show ever.
It is pretty phenomenal.
It's
Yeah,
really,
I'm glad you
really
agree. As
good.
a non-book reader too, Nate, I appreciate you becoming an ally.
Yeah,
Matt,
no, I'm enjoying it. Best show ever is a little strong for me, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's
It's
been really.
one thing me and that are watching together right now. So
Malcolm, I think that's better than any Game of Thrones season we've ever seen. I think it's every episode has been better than every episode of Game of Thrones I've ever seen,
I
and
think
that's
season 4 of Game of
wrong.
Thrones is the best season of Game of Thrones of all time, and it's not season 4 of Game of Thrones. So
What season did you say was the best season? Season 2?
Season 4.
Oh, season 4. Yeah, well, that was a pretty great season with Jakar.
It was. It
Yeah.
was. I mean, Joffrey dies
However,
in episode 2. What are we talking?
I have never felt such strong cringe feelings in watching Game of Thrones as I have this season. And these characters are only on episode 6 of us even recognizing them. And it is so much better than the books. It's not even funny. Like Fire and Blood and The Princess and the Queen short story novella, whatever. Those stories are good, but they're not great. Whereas Game of Thrones books, as you know as a reader, are phenomenal. So
Yeah.
they made this better than it could have ever been. Like this is exceeding expectations on every level, and it's better than Game of Thrones in my opinion on every level as well. So, yeah, I'm totally bought in. As a diehard fan, I think you have my complete buy-in.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm not at that level with it yet because it's only been one season or half a season, but it's pretty excellent, and I'm excited to see how far they're going to take it.
And
it might be done. This might be the last season. It might be the only one and done season, to be honest with you.
No, I think there's another one.
I was thinking too, but I might be turning on that. They're escalating things pretty fast. But really? I think you're right. I mean, the kids. There's a lot of timeline with the kids, and we just got introduced to them. So yeah, I still kind of maybe hold out hope that there is a second season, but they might be able to wrap it up pretty fast, depending on how quickly they move in the next 4 episodes.
You obviously know more, so.
Yeah, no spoilers allowed, but yeah, it could move quick, and some of these scenes are going to be even cringier than you guys have seen so far. So, so wow. When shit involves kids, it gets harder and harder to watch, so, especially people now that have kids. So Chris will be fine. The rest of us will be, gripping our seats.
Yeah, me over here, zero emotions or empathy whatsoever.
Yeah, you got no empathy because you can't possibly understand what it's like to have a child. So, yeah.
And new episode of Andor tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
I think an episode back on that. Another great show, by the way.
Andor's
a big fan of
that. It was awesome.
Thanks, Malcolm. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Malcolm is talking about Star Wars in a positive way ever. It seems fantastic.
He always talks about Star Wars in a positive way. It just took him forever to get there.
It's the best Disney Plus
Star
Wars thing they've done. It's not even close.
Compared to Mando. We're talking
yeah.
Well, Andor's been way better than Mandalorian, though, right? We're agreed on that.
I enjoyed the first 3 of Andor more than I enjoyed the first 3 of Mandalorian.
I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, first episode alone was way better than everything in Mandalorian.
So, we're obviously on different wavelengths on this, because, just the fucking, 10-minute preview clip I got a Celebration, 8 months before Mando came out, got me more excited than anything Andor did. But,
oh, that's...
I mean, the end result wasn't the same, in my opinion.
No,
but, yeah.
I don't know, man. That one's so hard for me just because Mando's just so fucking cool and so Star Wars. And Andor is amazing because it feels so separate from Star Wars, but it is Star Wars. That's
what makes it so
that's
great,
why
honestly.
It's so good. But
not a negative way to Star Wars. It's just the fact that
exactly.
it works, it stands alone.
It's so different.
It reminds me of Rogue One every time I watch any episode of Andor too, which feels great too.
Shocker! It's supposed to it's supposed to be like that. But yeah, it's just not. It doesn't have the same feel as regular Star Wars, and I love regular Star Wars too much to enjoy this more than I enjoy The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, I literally every second of that show. I'm just tingling with excitement like a child. And this show I can watch as an adult. Oh damn, fuck, how could you make that? That's a tough decision to have to make. You know what I mean? You're just watching a totally different mindset. In Mando, I can feel like a kid. This, I'm just shit. This is fucking rough. So it's just different, but man, it's still so awesome.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Just don't care about Star Wars nearly as much as you do, which is obviously not sure anybody that we know probably will.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, that's all I got. You guys got anything else?
Nope.
Well, that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Lucas Potent. We got Chris, Let the Wookiee Win. We got Fly Society Malcolm. And we've got Trumpelo Bills, possibly a name change in the future. And that's Nate. And this has been Dynasty Talk Podcast.
We'll see how the election goes. He might not need to.
This is true. If he becomes relevant again, then yes, he will bring back the old school name, I assume. So yeah. Well, that's a wrap, guys. See you guys next time.
See ya.
Later.